Like, is this what helped land you a princess as a girlfriend?
I think what lands me a princess as a girlfriend, I think it was destined. My mom told me when I was 14 years old that because my mom is Norwegian and she's also West Indian. And my mom told me that when I was young, that she spoke to the elders in Bahal. The Vikings came to her in a vision and told her that my life has already been set up and that I'm going to end up in the royal family. And she told me when I was 14, I was going skating with my buddies. And I'm like, Mom, honestly, how is that going to happen? What are you talking about? She's like, someone's going to set you up on a blind date. You're going to meet, you're going to become good friends. She's going to understand you. You're going to understand her. You guys knew each other in other lifetimes and you're going to fall in love. And this is who you're going to be. And I was like, okay. And sure enough, years later, you know, my friend sets me up on a blind date. I was like dating this, in a relationship with a guy and then a girl and then another girl. And then I was like, okay, I'm not going to date anyone. I want to be like Queen Elizabeth. I want to be married to country and God. That's it. You know, I should paint my face white and walk around as the shaman who's painted with a white face, you know?
Seriously.
And then all of a sudden I went there to the blind date and then she walked in. And my friend told me the day before and I was just like, whoa, what are you talking about? She's a princess. And she's like, I'm like, what kind? And she calls herself a princess? She goes, no, she's Her Royal Highness. She's a real princess. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, what are we gonna do here? I'm like rocking my ripped up jeans and cowboy boots and like my Metallica t-shirt, you know? And she's like, just be you. And I'm like, all right. And she came over and she walked in the door, looked in my eyes, stared at me for a moment and goes, I remember you. And I saw Egypt. I saw like a vision of Egypt. I was sitting on a throne with two scepters and she had her hand on my shoulder. And she said in my mind, I found you. And I said to her later when we became friends, I was like, where do you think we knew each other? She goes, Egypt. She goes, I found you, my love. I knew we would find each other after all this time. And I was like, wow. And we became good friends and she's such a cool girl. Like we play video games together. Like we go to escape rooms, you know, we're like the coolest, but she's a princess. And that's the only thing that was difficult for me was how do I have this amazing friend who's my best friend and we have such a good time together. But then, oh yeah, right, she's a princess and she's a part of the royal family and her father's a king. And like, so it was kind of like a way for me to kind of get situated. And then I saw the stuff that happened to her cousin Harry and his girlfriend who he married, Megan. So I was just like, whoa, I don't know if I want to go through all that, you know? So I kind of took it a long time before I decided to, you know, to start dating her and start building the relationship. I just wanted to be her friend. And then one day, I was on this TV show and she was on the show with me and I looked at her and I was just like, oh my God, like, I think I'm in love with this woman, but I didn't want to admit it. And then finally I admitted it. And she was like, I've been in love with you the whole entire time. I just was waiting on you to figure it out. And then we made our relationship public and it got a little crazy, but I wanted to spend some time with her children because she has 3 girls first. So and I wanted them to meet me not as her boyfriend, but as her friend. So I needed time for them to spend time with my family and see how their energies are. Because if I'm going into this relationship with her, it's a relationship for life. It's not like I'm going to date her and break up with her when she has 3 kids. I want to make sure that I can be a father to these kids. And it all worked out. And then, you know, she told the king and queen and they're like, I thought he was gay. And she's like, no, he's soul sexual. They're like, what's that?
I was just going to say, did she say that you were so sexual? And then they were probably like,
her dad is really open. So he's like, this is where we are today in our evolution. So it's great.
Did they have the royal family, you know, just like a shaman's not the average, you know, business tycoon. Yeah. Were they like, what the hell?
Background checks and like, you know, I mean, you don't get close to the royal family without going through some high level scrutiny, you know, but I passed, you know, and I think the hardest part for me was, which was actually transformative for me as well, was sitting at Gwyneth's house. Because every year Gwyneth would be like, when are we going to find the right guy for you? When are we going to find the right girl for you? And I was like, no. And she's like, but it just seems weird. Every time we have dinner, we do family outings, you never bring anyone. You never have this a special someone. And then Brad would be like, yeah, you know, like, when are we going to have you be happy and have that? And I'm like, no. And then finally I told her and she was just like, what? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, oh my God. She's like, I know her brother and I know her sister. And I was like, you do? She's like, oh yeah. And, you know, and Gwyneth helped me through the whole process. And so does my friend Kelly Rutherford. A lot of different friends of mine. They helped me to navigate the intensity of being in the press all the time and getting ripped apart and having European countries constantly spying on me and having my life be on constant scrutiny. Every time I get in an Uber, every time I go somewhere, the paparazzis are in my face.